Yo, welcome to the Project Motus podcast, powered by Infinity Sports. We're talking about everything from health, nutrition, recovery, you name it, coronavirus. So I'm going to pass it off to my guy, Heck.
Yo, what's up? We're on location here at Infinity Sports Institute, where we're dedicated to optimizing the human experience. I'm with my guys right here. We got Andre, our Director of Sports Performance and Sports Nutrition. And we got Eric, co-founder and head of clinical performance. And myself, founder. You can call me the Big Cheese. Shout out to Greg for giving me the nickname. Now, we're going to be talking about, like he said, health literacy, exercise, nutrition, recovery, current events. And one of the big topics that we kind of see here that within our client base is weight loss, right? So we got what they call it, Dre, the quarantine 15.
The quarantini.
The weight gain during quarantine. So Eric, we got a couple clients that they come in here and their goal is to lose weight because of this coronavirus, right? They haven't done anything. Now, what is the best way to lose weight? Is it cardio? Is it strength training? What'd you say?
Honestly, it's a little bit of both, man. Like if you want to really narrow it down, it's really based on the person's goal, right? It's like, how do you want to look at the end? Because we all have a different definition of weight loss. Okay, a lot of people say, "Oh, I want to look toned." A lot of people say, "I want to be more at a lighter weight so I could perform better." So it's really finding that unique mix between the two. And that's something that you have to speak with an individual coach, someone that understands that concept. One prime example is we got people that are running miles and miles and miles to lose weight because they want to get to a certain figure, and then all of a sudden they look like a flat board. That's not what they wanted. And then you have others that just do constant weight training, but they're doing more volume, not the exact amount that you need, or not giving enough rest, or they're doing something different, and then they get another different type of figure, right? In the end, it's more of what are you looking to look like, because that's what most people come in here for, right? So when you think about it, it's got to be a nice mix between the two. A little bit of cardio just to kind of keep going, improve your cardiovascular system, improve your metabolic system, right? Efficiencies and adaptations with glucose intake, insulin, hormones, things like that. But you also need to build some muscle in the areas that you enjoy and be more functional, because that is going to also help you with the cardio aspect, right? It's a mix of the two. Not only that, the weight training also helps you with the hormones and recovery when it comes to like sleeping, insulin response, growth hormone, insulin, stuff like that. So when we look at it, a good combination, it's great. One of the best ones that have been kind of like prone to show more weight loss is heart rate variability training. We're looking at your heart rate while you're working out, but we're actually looking at it at a very second by second or minute by minute approach, rather than just looking at a screen and say, "Oh, I'm in range." No, because you could hold your breath and then your heart rate skyrockets. Does that mean you did something, productive? Did you actually burn calories? Did you do something like that? No, you were just holding your breath. It means nothing. So to me, I think that's the best approach right now, and how people are trying to use more of their heart rate, and you can incorporate into weight training. And then just modulating the volume, meaning how intense am I going to go this day, and how long am I going to go this day? But honestly, weight loss, it's a tough one, man. It's a tough one. You got to narrow it down.
Yeah, it's something a lot of people struggle with, absolutely.
Well, Dre, you're the Director of Performance here in Sports Nutrition.
Yes.
We've had
deal with that on a daily basis.
Yeah, we've been able to have crazy results, everything from 70 pounds of fat loss, 11 pounds of muscle gain. And this is happening on a consistent basis, right? Yeah. Like you as overseeing our performance programming, what has been working the best for our clients here?
I think at the end of the day, we could talk about a lot of different workouts, a lot of different diets. But at the end of the day, it comes down to effort, trying and creating that new identity for yourself. Because at the end of the day, you can try to plan out things. You can try to write it down, have the perfect game plan, but you really have to show up. We always say, right, number one rule, show up.
Yeah,
it doesn't
definitely.
matter how much intensity that you bring that day. If you create that identity and you show up, you're going to start improving. The body adapts, so you're always going to improve to whatever you're putting your environment, or whatever environment you're putting around yourself.
I mean, for sure, right? Like if you say you want to lose weight and you're at home like watching TV,
Do you really think you're gonna lose weight? Like, for real.
I mean, how many clients have we had in here that come in here and spend $2, $3, $4, $5,000 and don't do anything?
We've had people that have spent money and don't show up for day one. They'll do the testing. We'll go through the nutritional consultation. They'll say, "Hey, I'm ready." And again, it's not everybody, right? But you get people that will sign up. They'll invest in something and then still not be ready. So, you can't really say, hey, if I put up down this, much money, I'm going to do it. I know I'm going to do it because I've spent this amount on it. Well, we definitely have evidence here that it doesn't matter how much you put down, you really have to create that identity in your mind to say, hey, this is what I want, and I'm going to show up and I'm going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we talk about, health is wealth and investing in your health, right? But this is not like the stock market, right? This is not the market. We're not putting in money. The money's not working for us, right? The money's opening a door, giving us access to be able to work on ourselves, right? So that's the thing. And when it comes to sports and athletics, right? We had training camp not too long ago. All the athletes are trying to get ready. It's super important. Some of these athletes have to come in and be on a weight, right? They got to be on a scale between, let's say, 210 to 220, whatever it is the team needs them to be that. And how have you seen it working with our athletes? How have you been able to manage the weight gain, the weight loss, the fat loss? What do you recommend to some of these athletes?
I think it's very important that you get very specific in cases like that. When it comes down like, hey, I have to lose 5 pounds no matter what, even if you gain 5 pounds of muscle, your team wants you at a certain weight. So in that case, hey, we have to get very specific at what foods you're eating, what foods you're sensitive to. We have to get very specific how much muscle you have, so we want to make sure you're on the DEXA, get 1% margin of error to make sure we're getting you around the right calorie intake. These type of things that are very specific, individualized, that are monitored, because at the end of the day, when a team wants you at a certain weight and you're not that weight, they're going to just look at the next guy. So you have to be, I guess, very specific at what you're doing.
Yeah, so Eric, weight loss, right? So let's stay on that topic. Now, you're one of 20 registered clinical exercise physiologists here in the state of Florida. When it comes with people that have comorbidities, whether it's diabetes or some cardiovascular issue, like what are your recommendations? Like when it comes to they want to tone up and they want to lose weight, but they have these insulin sensitivities or resistance or whatever.
You gotta just take all the information you can about yourself and really dial down on it, right? So here's the thing about dealing with chronic illness and all this other fun stuff, right? The easiest thing to modify is nutrition. Easiest thing. That's why when you go to any professional, they're going to tell you right away, we need to change your diet because it's the easiest thing. The hardest thing to start doing is being active as a chronically ill individual. Why? Because you're already in pain. Some people are either in pain or they have modalities that they can't move, and they're either scared of moving or they don't know what direction to go to. So it's the last thing to be even thought about. But that's a problem too, because even if you change that diet and things gets better, right? And you're aware of your glucose before, you're looking at all these numbers, you're not stressing the system enough to adapt. How is your body going to get better if you're not teaching it to get better?
Right.
It's not going to.
Drop that line again.
It's not. It's not going to happen, right? If I don't stress it enough, it's just not going to change. My heart is not going to get bigger, stronger. It's not going to take in more blood. It's not going to push out more blood. It'll help me with a little bit with diet in the sense that I'm cleaning it, but I'm not stressing it to do more work. So that walk from here to there is still going to be the same intensity, right? And that's the biggest thing. So when it comes to like chronic disease, diabetes, or anything else related to blood or hormones itself, you want to try and get as many numbers as you can. And I'll use diabetes as an example. The thing that's annoying with diabetes, we have these signs and symptoms of, it's hypoglycemic, hyperglycemia, right? Dizziness, drowsiness, fruity smells, things like that. Not everybody gets them. They don't. I've seen people with 60 60 at their blood glucose at rest. And it's like, are you okay? Do you feel fine? How are you not passed out yet? No, I feel perfectly good. You can't tell just by looking at them. That is so dangerous. But then you have other people that are like at 300 of resting glucose, and you're like, are you all right? Are you okay?
Yeah.
Can we say it one time? Diabetes.
But it's like, you don't feel anything? No, I'm perfectly fine. And it boggles my mind what the body does. You could be asymptomatic or you could be symptomatic. You can't play with that stuff. So if you do have a chronic disease that requires you to be aware of it, don't hold back just because you feel good. Keep taking the numbers. Check your blood pressure issues, cardiovascular issues. Take your blood pressure before activity, in between activity, after activity if you can. Same thing with glucose. Before activity, after activity, in between activity, or resting when you wake up. As many numbers as you can. The more the merrier, right? And then you get to understand your own body. That's my biggest thing when it comes to all this. But losing weight and being active, it is going to be a big help to just let you do the things that you want to do.
So when it comes to diabetes, we're talking about it. You know, how can strength training help that or weight training help it? Disclaimer, guys. Okay, consult your physician before you start exercising. Go.
Yes, please do. But pretty much like strength training itself, if you look at what happens when you're actually invoking the nervous system to do neuromuscular recruitment, or if you're looking at how your body buffers lactic acid and goes through what's called the glycolytic flux, when you stress it with the weight training itself, right? Not only that, you're working on the nervous system to recruit better. You're not even if you're not going for a muscle build, you're still recruiting more myofibers, right? In the end, you're going to have more balance because you're getting stronger in your lower extremities. You're being more aware of what's going on. Sensory feedback starts to begin to occur just because you're getting it more active, and your body requires you to do that, right? So the other thing about strength training itself, when you start developing some lean mass, hormone changes. A bit of hormones start to improve, right? Because they know that you need to be more quick, you have to be more agile, you need more strength. Your just had a brain fart. Hemodynamics start to change a little bit. Blood flow increases. Yeah, your body adapts, right?
Absolutely.
Your body with weight training also, you get more resilient with blood pressure too as well, right? And this is why you need to check your blood pressure when you do weight training, because it is going to skyrocket compared to cardiovascular stuff, and because of the breath holding and some other factors.
So, boss,
yeah,
I'm going to intercept this real quick.
Go.
How often should somebody with diabetes weight train?
Man, so if it's a really bad case of diabetes, at least twice a week.
Twice a week?
Twice a week, right? But honestly, if you're diabetic, you have to be moving every day.
You heard that.
There's no
every single
You have
day.
to move. Whether it's not weight training, you have to be moving, and it's constant. Because in the end, it's not about having as much volume as you can. It's not about weight training every day. It's more about being consistently active, right? And definition of weight training for us, resistance training, could be something simple. For example, if you're someone that has trouble walking, just standing up from the chair and coming down back is an example of resistant training.
Right. Now, that doesn't mean getting off the couch to get chips.
Yeah, no.
Definitely doesn't mean that.
No, but what it means is, we have people that come in here sometimes and they see the big, cages and things like that. They're like, oh my God, am I going to be doing that? And we're like,
maybe.
We might get you there, but, we definitely don't need to start, you there.
No, man. Like, look, one of the comorbidities that's associated with diabetes is what? Neuropathy, right? Yeah. Peripheral neuropathy. Like, they can't feel their feet.
Right.
You really expect them to go over here and start squatting right away? No. Guess what their resistance training is? I'm going to have you walk up and down, and I'm going to try and have you walk one leg at a time. Lift the leg up, bring it down. Let's take a break. Breathe. 5 minutes. Let's do this again. resistance is relative. Strength
Yeah.
training is relative.
Yeah, so it's what we're really doing with resistance training and weight training is we're adding an external stressor to the system and creating an adaptation in order to create change, right? Now, you guys have been talking about nutrition. You mentioned nutrition a little bit. We got all these nutritional fads, right? A couple years ago, we had the paleo diet, and then we got the keto and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
now,
you can name them down the list.
yeah, you know what? I think we ran out of ink for that. But, I think, what, Dre, as the director of sports nutrition, what do you see works? When you work with our athletes, with our clients, and whether they have comorbidities or not, you talk a lot about behavior, right? About kind of like creating these little habits.
Right.
What do you, with all these fads, and I know people want to lose weight and stuff like that, like what are your recommendations in how to create these healthy habits?
I think the biggest thing kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier about, creating an identity, starting with small, simple steps, because you want to change your diet. You want a meal template. You want somebody to tell you exactly what meals to prepare. You want to count calories, or you want to do these specific things. But at the end of the day, it comes down to, hey, can I start drinking maybe a little bit more water? Or can I maybe just stop eating fast food? It's crazy how many athletes out here, professional athletes.
I see you. You know who we're talking about.
Professional athletes out here eating fast food. Like Taco Bell, like McDonald's, like
hit him with that
you name
Wendy's,
it down
boy.
the list. You know what I'm saying? Just start with things like that. Like stop eating that. Stop drinking as much alcohol. Start with the foundational simple things, and then we could start, like I was saying earlier, getting really specific, with data points and making sure you're around the right calorie marker, also making sure that you're eating the right foods with the right meals. So at the end of the day, it comes down to, get the foundation first, create that identity.
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of like, this great book, right? I know we've all probably read the book Atomic Habits, right? It's, you got a habit stack, right?
Yeah.
And then how do you establish these habits? And these habits are going to, whether how easy is it, or how capable are you of doing it, and can you do it, right? So, we have clients, we have athletes that are here. It's like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna cut out animal protein 100%. And then next thing you know, like within a week they fail, right?
Oh yeah, and then it comes down to we do food sensitivity testing, and then it turns out, hey, the only thing you can eat is animal protein, because certain vegetables, fruits that you're sensitive to, and things like that. So, when you want to get really specific, we want to see what's your gut is not allowing, and what's not allowing you to absorb nutrients and break down protein and things like that, because that's going to affect what you're going to eat.
And but before that, you said, we can get very specific, but let's first start out with little habits, right?
Right, absolutely.
Like how many of our athletes and clients, whether they have a chronic illness or not, don't drink enough water.
Yeah.
Eric, how many times you got to tell somebody to drink water?
Bro, do I really have to answer that one? Because it's the biggest thing. It's something so simple, and like you said, just small things. It doesn't have to be a huge jump. It could be something as simple. You know what? I'm going to start eating more vegetables on Monday.
Yeah.
Monday, I'm going to eat
one day,
one meal. Then the next day, a few days later, okay, I'm going to eat Tuesday now.
How about this? Go to the grocery store, look around, look around and see how many people look at the back of the food that they choose.
Everybody. Oh, everybody does that, man.
That you're not looking at the actual things that you're putting in your body. You're not looking at the ingredients. You're just believing that somebody tells you, oh, it's heart healthy. And you're like, oh, okay, this is healthy. I'm going to grab it.
Yeah, and then
look at what you're eating. Look what you're putting in your body.
One thing I always tell our guys here is, look, we're not gonna, from the beginning, we're not gonna give you a meal plan, right? We can't give you a meal plan because you're gonna fail that meal plan, right? Because we're trying to change your entire lifestyle. What our team here is gonna do is we're gonna try to put healthier nutritional habits into your lifestyle, and those habits is not something that we have to necessarily add. It could be remove. That Wendy's run on Wednesday, and we start little, and it seems like very little tiny steps. But when you look at it, if we get 1% better every year, you're 37 times better than you were before. So, little habits.
Yeah. And what do we say too? We're talking a lot about food, but at the end of the day, what's king? The limbic system.
The Limbic system.
You know, if you're not managing stress, you know, anxieties, things like that, that's going to cause you to eat certain ways. So if you're not managing, you know, your recovery, you're not managing your sleep, you know, it's going to cause you to start craving certain things. You know,
I mean, think about this, Eric. How many people have you seen or worked with that have diabetes and can't get rid of eating the Hershey's bar?
like can't.
Everybody.
Like
Everybody.
how many people we've
There's
seen?
one.
Yeah.
There's one right now that it blows my mind that this individual can't feel their feet. Their glucose is up the roof. This is my biggest pet peeve. They're complaining about their health. They're constantly complaining about their health, that they can't walk for more than 5 minutes, or they can't keep, you know, constant concentration, and they're always downing and they're sleeping and they feel terrible. And you tell them, all right, just remove this one thing for me. Try and limit your sugar a little bit. That's it.
Yeah, we're not even telling you to like stop eating candy. We're just telling you like
limit. Start with that, and then we'll get more and more intuitive to it. And the next day you see this person like, oh yeah, I haven't done that yet. I'm still eating my 4 crackers and Hershey bars every day.
Hold up, we can't forget that extremely large Starbucks coffee. What do you guys call that? What's the extra large?
I don't know.
I'm not a Starbucks guy. Eric, what's the extra large?
Wow, yeah, assholes. I saw what you did. Okay. All right.
Sorry,
yeah, I have a.
black.
I usually have a. They're ranking on me because I have like black coffee, iced black coffee, and I
which
get
is
like,
okay. Which
That's
is
cool.
okay.
I drink
Yeah.
black. I don't drink
So
ice.
straight black. Yeah, I know. Some of y'all, that's an acquired taste. Straight black, and it's usually the venti. It's a bigger one.
It's a venti.
Right?
So
Yeah,
venti is a big
venti.
one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So look, how about you stop eating
No,
a
I
venti
think-
frappuccino?
Actually,
Yeah.
there's another one. There's another level. I think they call it a Trenti.
A Trenti?
Or something like that. I know that there's a one bigger than that one.
Well,
Hold up, we got doctors out here that can't even eliminate certain diets. No,
Hey.
I'm serious.
but no, for real. I mean, you know, our client base is, you know, we got physicians as
But
a client.
If
so
people
imagine.
know that they can't eat certain things, so why are we focusing on you should eat this instead? You know, we gotta go a little deeper.
Yeah, look. So like our Dr. D, our homie says, Dr. Strong out here. You know, hey, remove and replenish, right? So hey,
Facts.
remove that one Hershey bar and add an apple.
Well, that's
There you go.
That's it.
You know what's one of their thing? It's because it's a comfort food for them.
Oh, there you go. Stress.
It
Stress.
tastes good. It's something that they're used to.
Right.
It's not something that's different, right? You try and give that same person some vegetables, and they've never had a vegetable in their life, and it's like,
They're like, I don't want that.
what's a broccoli?
I know you told me to eat it, but like, I
Yeah,
don't
like
want it.
what's
Yo, how about this? How about this? Yeah, you guys ever heard of that lady that only ate like chicken McNuggets for like 20, 30 years or something like that?
I don't want to know.
No, I did not hear that. But
Bro,
that's,
never, nothing.
It's scary.
Hey, parents, don't do that to your kids, please. Anyways, so
Some people are probably looking in the camera like, oh, I've ate chicken nuggets for 20, 30 years.
So anyways, now let's go. We're still on the topic of nutrition, right? So I think a big movement, you know, not just for the environment, but for health. And we had this big movie, I forgot what it's called on Netflix, but plant-based diets, right?
Yeah.
Now, Dre, we've had to transition some of our athletes into plant-based diets based off their, you know, food sensitivities and things of that nature. Well, what is your take on a plant-based diet?
I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like, you know, it comes down to, right, the food sensitivity, what you're individualized to. But fruits and vegetables are the most nutritious, you know, things on the planet that you can eat. So, you know, if you can start with eating more fruits and vegetables, and plant-based is like, you don't have to be vegan, vegetarian, but like, hey, like Eric said, hey, how about we focus on doing a vegetable Monday? You know, just eating plants on vegetables, or plants and fruits and vegetables on Monday, and then, you know, as you start getting more of an acquired taste, you can add more days. But you know, at the end of the day, it comes down to food sensitivities and trying to create little habits and starting small and doing things step by step to try to get somebody to eat those things. But, you know, there's nothing wrong with a plant-based unless for that individual, you know, they're sensitive to the foods that they're eating.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we've looked at some of our athletes that are plant-based, and they have some of the nicest blood panels that we've seen, right?
Yeah.
It's very nice. And I know a lot of people are going to talk about protein, right? Eric loves this topic.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Oh
we
my
could
God.
talk about, maybe the one concern with
Oh my God.
plant-based is like, all right, you have to focus on eating a little bit more protein. When you're not plant-based, it's a little easier to get more protein.
Yeah,
obviously.
but I mean, I think
but you can still get manageable protein.
I mean,
from
we
fruits and
got
vegetables.
some elite athletes that are plant based, right?
Yeah.
And
when
so
vegan and then they came back, higher percent or not higher, lower percent body fat, more muscle.
than
less
anybody
fat.
being plant based. So, definitely, I think plant based is a good route to go. You just got to do it the right way. And when it comes to protein, I think Eric debunked this a couple years ago about how much protein you actually need, right? Eric, can you tell us about your little personal experiment? How much protein were you intaking? Like what? Like 0.4 grams of protein per kilogram or something like that?
No, man, I was thinking shit.
How much protein
Eric's
were
like, why
you
you
taking?
put me on blast, bro?
Yeah, why do you got to put me on blast? No, I don't need that much. So if you look at research and you look at all the standards and you look at the guidelines, they're usually telling you that depending on the athlete and what they're doing and how much recovery they need, you'll see a range. You'll see a bunch of ranges, right? But they'll go by kilograms. Okay, so for every kilogram, a person needs between 0.4 to 1.2 or even 1.6. It really depends on the athlete, what they're doing, what's the recovery system. But that's it. I'm just giving you like the huge range that they've been like putting this into. So when you look about it, like when you look into it, that's not a lot of protein. Like if you weigh 150, 2.2, I'm going to ballpark this number, but if you weigh 150, if you divide that by 2.2, you're looking at what?
Pretty accurate.
Like 68 kilograms, close. Yeah, 68 kilograms. And if you multiply that within that range that I gave you, the 0.4 to 1.6, you're looking at maybe 100. No, not even. Maybe
100.
90 grams.
Bro. Not even. You're probably looking at like 70-some grams of protein.
Yeah, something like that. It's super light. So how do they come up with this number? Like, how do they figure this out? Well, they've done constant studies, right, on different diets and different athletes. And they do this. They've been doing it for a long time. And something that they contribute this to is what's called nitrogen balance, or pretty much your protein balance, right? So your body has this innate ability to adapt and learn how to use protein efficiently, right? As you get more and more and more adapted, it could use protein at a higher rate and a higher efficiency. So then, I don't know if you guys notice this, but most people don't get sore that much, or they start to feel like they don't need as much recovery. Well, that's your body that's adapted to it, Me personally, I haven't been sore in like I think it's been like 3 years. For me to get sore, I had to hit like the gym extremely, extremely hard, and that's not feasible for me. I don't want to be here 3 hours lifting weights. It's not going to happen. I get tired of that.
So I think even you, like when you were what, like at 0.4 grams of protein?
I was fine.
Right? You actually gained weight, right? You actually gained muscle.
Yeah, that's
right?
what I'm saying. Because so me personally, I don't eat much, right? I have my 3 basic meals and then I'll have some snacks. But you look at my meals, it's not crazy. And the amount of protein I eat is within my kilograms per gram. Like, that's what I've been eating. So, but again, this is something that you have to feel for as well, right? You have to look at numbers, because you do have other people that they'll intake like 3 times their body weight and they're perfectly fine. Like, how are you okay? Like, how's your kidneys, bro?
Yeah, I
Like,
mean,
how are your kidneys?
Yeah, because it can affect how you're breaking it down, especially if you're overdoing it.
Well, when you're running, when we run the DEXA scans, right, and then you look at the lean tissues and fatty tissues, we definitely also see individuals that are under eating, right?
Oh, probably more often than
none, right?
Yeah, even we'll take it back to weight loss. People are under eating more than overeating. Think about that.
Yeah, and they're still gaining weight.
Yeah,
They're getting fat. They're getting fat. They're not getting muscle. They're getting fat. How about that?
That's a whole different system. Like, no one knows how to explain your metabolic system at all. Like, we're still studying that. There's so many different theories and so many different things out there, and it's impossible to really understand what works and what doesn't work. It's just we're all so different.
Yeah, it's
So
trial and
different.
error. So like,
and it's way more than calories in, calories out.
yeah, it's way more than that. So like some of these fads or whatnot, you know, they might not work for you. Everything is individual specific, right? Like based off yourself, your genetics, your genetic structure, your stress levels, what you do for, you know, for work, what you do for training, etc. And one of the things that I don't think, overseeing and managing tons of our athletes and clients, I'm not mad at the plant-based diet, you know. It's fairly clean, and like I said, most of the blood work that we've seen is super nice.
Yeah.
In the end, it comes down again. You need to actually like read your body and what it's all about. Because I met, other professionals that, like with a chronic illness population, you have people that push, for example, diabetes again, because diabetes is so easy. That push, high protein diet. That's all you got to eat. Atkins, well, not Atkins, but high protein diet. Get away from some of this. And it's like, how do you know that they'll respond well to a high protein diet? You know, what
and
happens
then some
to
of the things that they're giving people on
what is
high
it?
protein diet.
Yeah,
Then you have
questionable.
So check this
Like
out.
bacon.
So one person tells them high protein diet, they go to another pro in the same category, and they say, "Aren't you scared of ketoacidosis? Like, aren't you scared of that as a diabetic?"
I mean, that word sounds scary by itself.
It's scary. So then they go, "Let's put you on a vegetable diet, like just veggies.
Right.
That's it." And then also fruits. Let's add veggies and fruits. And then you go back to the first guy, and he's like, no. Veggies and fruits, that's a lot of sugar.
That's a lot of
That's
sugar.
sugar.
Oh my
That's
God.
going to kill you.
Oh my
So
God.
it's like,
First of all,
who, as
I'm
me,
done.
as the
I'm just
individual going to both these people, it's like, what do I do? Like,
Yeah.
I'm so confused.
hey guys, I'm tired of you saying that you can't have fruits because of sugars or like vegetables. Like, this is
Yeah,
gonna
let's
give me a
just
heart
break
attack.
that myth right here.
Yeah, let's
right
go.
here, right now.
Hey, let me give you something, right? So think about this. Your body, when you intake foods, it scans the foods, right? Like a barcode, right? And it says, hey, I recognize this. I'm going to use this. I don't recognize this. I can't use this, right? Let me store it or whatever. Guess what?
Remove and replenish.
Yeah. Processed sugars. Your body does not have a barcode for that. Now, sugars that we find in fruits, it does, right? But then again, with fruits and stuff like that, juicing, right? We got juicing, right? So the thing is, it's better for you to eat one orange than drinking orange juice, because that's like eating like 5 oranges, right? So these are things. Fruits aren't bad for you. Oh,
What? I
Yeah.
don't get that concept. You mean but what if I eat 5 apples? Is that not the same as drinking it?
Well,
Well, I could drink 5 apples.
the
That's
first
what it is.
The first part of the digestion process is chewing. So if you're not chewing, breaking down the food, then you're gonna already affect the absorption process. By choosing juice versus.
there you go. There you
Chewing.
go. So yeah, definitely. So I mean, when it comes to your fruits and your veggies, eat them. Your body has a barcode for that. Now, processed stuff, your body doesn't recognize that. Think about it. It's like a virus. It's a toxin. It's gonna damage you, anyways. So we just figured out we don't need that much protein, and we can eat fruits.
Balance.
We're on a roll, baby.
Hey, alcohol's a fruit. I mean, a vegetable, isn't it?
Alcohol. I mean, vodka is like a potato. Is potato a vegetable? I mean, what makes a vegetable a vegetable?
How's alcohol any different? Like, can I just drink that and say that's a vegetable serving?
All day.
All
Cheers.
I mean, we can get. We're gonna go down the rabbit hole of alcohol. But let's not go there now. Let's talk about recovery, right? So, what are the best methods to recover from rigorous exercises? So, our boy Thomas Allen, CEO of Ep.1, right? Shout out, Thomas. He manages and oversees a lot of athletes' health, and he sends us their athletes or whatnot.
Correct.
He asked this question on IG the other day, right? What can Jimmy Butler do to recover after the game that he just played? Dude, how many minutes did he play? He played like 47 minutes?
47, I believe.
Yeah, 47 minutes, right? So that's 47 minutes of intense, high adrenaline exercise. You're talking about this is like life or death. This man was...
Yeah, high stress.
This
high
man
intensity.
was a gladiator. This man was fighting lions and stuff.
And backs against the wall.
Back against the wall. He fought his limbic system. He was probably super sympathetic.
Oh, he was in, what do you call it? I'm blanking out. What is it? It's like flow.
Yeah, he was
He was
definitely in a
definitely-
flow state. He was definitely. He was. That's why. That's
had
why
to
he was
be.
able to. After that flow stopped, you know.
He had
that was
to be.
flowing, bro.
After that flow stopped, my man was limping out here,
Yeah.
right? So Eric, when an athlete is gonna go through very vigorous training or exercise, like Jimmy Butler just did, what do you recommend for an athlete, like say Jimmy Butler, to recover before his game? It's kind of late for because the game is tonight, right?
Kind of is.
Yeah, it's kind of
That's
late.
true.
It's kind of late for any tips
Yeah,
or
it is
whatever.
tonight,
But you know what? If you could have talked to Jimmy Butler earlier, what would you have recommended?
Dude, that's tough because, again, recovery is another, like, loaded question. And what is the recovery for that person?
Right.
But in the end, you want to look at three things, right? You want to look at mental recovery, physical recovery, and emotional recovery.
Bam.
Because no matter what you're doing, you're going to have all those three involved, right? You're not going to tell me you're not going to use your brain
Yeah.
throughout that activity,
You're
like
putting
how
your
stressed
body
that
through
is.
stress, resistance.
The
There's
physical
many
stressing,
types.
right? And then you have the emotional stress. You're going to be emotionally involved. Even if it looks like a simple task, that is emotionally involved. You got to stay hyped. You got to get going.
A lot of energy.
Hey, he
Tiring.
did it for the culture, baby.
That's
Shout
what I'm
out.
saying.
So-
So it's like
Miami.
you just need to find something that works for you, and that could be different things, right? So mental recovery could be meditating or take a nap. You know, emotional recovery could be writing it out, talking to someone, you know, finding ways, outlets, stuff like that. Physical could be get on Normatec boots or go get a cold shower or a hot shower.
Or get a recovery session at Infinity Sports.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah, any of those. And again, it's a preference again at this point, but it's better than doing nothing,
Okay.
right?
So, Dre, your turn.
No, I mean, I completely agree, right? So he's putting his body under a high stress load, right? And there's many types of stress loads, which he just went over. So it's like, you know, what can you do to try to manage all three? You know, and that's the biggest thing. So it comes down to, you know, how can I make myself feel good? You know, is it by getting on the Normatec boots? Is it by, you know, getting a fascial stretch? You know, maybe getting a massage. Or maybe a massage might be too much, you know, too much intensity, depending on, right? It's a whole nother rabbit hole we're not going to go down. So it really comes down, like he was saying, you know, you have to find ways to manage stress, but manage all three: mental, emotional, physical, you know, and all those types of things that's going on with the body, and what's bothering the individual. But oftentimes, I mean, people probably in those situations go too rough. You know, when somebody's been through a lot of high stress like that, usually you don't even need to do a lot of manual work or a lot of things to them to actually get a positive outcome.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to, you know, go and see Jimmy, right? Like I've had
Yeah,
the
you're not gonna
opportunity.
take the blade and start.
Yeah, like you know, like the opportunity I've had travel to go
Digging,
go make sure our athletes are good.
Right.
If I had to go
Help them.
see Jimmy, bro,
Wait,
man, you guys are like talking over me, bro.
Sorry, my bad.
They're getting hyped. They're getting hyped.
Getting
It's cool.
hyped.
They're getting
This is
hyped. They're getting
this
hyped.
is-
Yeah, but anyways, like if I were to see Jimmy, the number one thing I'd probably do is a lymphatic flush. That's right there. I'd do a lymphatic flush, definitely. You know, with the amount of stress his lymphatic system is probably going under, definitely do a lymphatic flush. Fascial stretching, A1. I probably would not do any soft tissue work. Or if I do soft tissue work, it'd be feathering or very light. Fascial stretching to make sure we can release some of that stress and tension in the fascial system.
Correct.
Right. I'd probably do a visual reset.
Yeah.
I definitely do a visual reset, you know, reset the ocular system, the vestibular system, you know, a little VR work on him. And then, let's see, Normatex will do, like he said, right, hot, cold showers, cold plunge, whatnot. You know, that's still working on the circulatory system, the lymphatic system. And then two big things that I forgot. Meditation, my man said it.
Facts.
You gotta
Limbic
meditate.
system, baby.
Your limbic system. You got to go from sympathetic to parasympathetic to then go back into sympathetic state. If we're in a constant sympathetic state, I mean, it's tough. You know, that was a hard game.
Yeah,
That was
the
that.
rest of your systems are not going to respond. So if we don't take care of the mental, emotional, then, you know, the physical doesn't really get taken care of.
100%. So definitely we do some meditation on that. And I was going to say one more thing. Oh, nutrition.
Yeah.
Nutrition.
Yeah,
Fast
you know, you have
food.
to make
Fast
sure-
food after
Yeah.
this, yeah.
Yeah.
After the game. Taco Bell, guys.
Yeah, we laugh,
Yeah.
but it's, you know,
Hey, it's the
There's
truth.
some
You know,
truth to that.
I lay off alcohol. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know,
And how
alcohol is
many times
registered
you
as
see
a
that
toxin.
with professional
you know?
athletes,
So-
you know, they go out, celebrate, or think they're, you know, cooling down or something like that. But that's, you know, not letting your body really recover to bounce back.
Definitely. And then I'd probably do some very light, short, high intensity interval training real quick, just to get, you know, the heart going. And then
It's like, what?
everybody's like, what? He just fucking trained. Oh, all right. Bleep
Oh,
me. I
bleep.
got a little hype. Bleep me. But, you know, the other producer's going to get hot. Anyways. But yeah, I definitely do probably like a 15-minute bout of high intensity interval training. You know,
Yeah, something light.
something like we probably do a fascial stretch, lymphatic flush, VOR,
Ooh,
reset.
That's the biggest thing. Move.
VOR, do some high interval intensity training, and then from there, we'll probably go back into a fascial stretch, hop on a contrast bath, and then go meditate, bro. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing when it comes to recovery that I've really taken in from one of our mentors, Perry, Dr. Perry, shout out,
baby.
Stop Chasing Pain. Go follow him. Is the lymphatic system, you know, flow of your circulatory system, your lymphatic system. You know, these things need to move because they transport a lot of things from waste to oxygen to, you know, fat. You know, so there's a lot of things that your body is moving around, and if you're not moving, it's not moving. So that's the biggest reason you got to move, is to really get those systems recovering.
So let's go into, like, you know, when you stretch yourself a lot, right? Like whether it's a very, you know, hard played, you know, game, very physical, or you're doing a challenge like Squat-Tober, or, you know, like the 10,000 kettlebell swing challenge, right? Well, what's happening physiologically to your body, right? You know, to your tissues, to your metabolic system, and how do you need to repair that?
Right, because active physiology is the same as resting physiology. Right?
Absolutely, 100%. There's no doubt about it in my mind that it works exactly the same. Yeah.
That's a joke.
Sarcasm.
This is my sarcasm face, and then here's
get
my
to know.
serious face.
Okay.
There you go. Eric's
Okay.
serious face. Okay, so let's go. As far as
Yeah.
physiology,
Sorry.
physiology in the metabolic system, right? When you overstress it, what are the best ways to recover?
From those challenges or something that difficult,
Yeah.
it really comes down to time too. So that's one of the biggest things that most people don't have, and they feel like it's a luxury, right? So like everything you just said, some lame people can't do that. They just can't. So,
All right, so your average Joe is doing Squat-Tober right now. Dude, that's, day 9 was intense.
just keep moving.
Just keep moving.
Keep moving.
Keep
Like literally, they say that so there's other researchers out there. One in particular, I'm not gonna lie, I forgot the freaking name. But what they did was they took different modalities after activity, and they studied this in the same group over and over and over again. So what they did was they intervalled their recoveries differently with everything. So they had sleeping. They had massages, they had walking, they had hot tubs, right? Hot tubs.
Walking
and
outside.
There was something else.
Sorry.
Completely forgot what was the next one. Activity, right? Going back into it. So when they compared all of that with their recoveries, like they looked at blood work, they looked at how this person felt through RPE, like rate of perceived exertion, stuff like that. And it turns out walking did the best for them. All of them. So they're like, why not the massage? That makes no sense. Well, this is how they explained was the reason behind that. Or even same thing with activity. You're constantly breaking down tissue. So even in a massage, you're still breaking down tissue. So you still have to work your hemodynamics, your metabolic systems, right? They still need to do things to help you repair for the next day. But when you walk, it actually pumps that thermodynamic system and the hemodynamic system, and it's more soothing, right? You also start, if you think about walking too, where are you walking? Is it peaceful? Is it not peaceful? Are you being mindful? Are you not being mindful of the situation, right? It's more calming. So they noticed that walking had a higher recovery rate because it's not as brutal. You're not beating up tissues, and you're circulating everything as you're moving.
Everything.
Activity,
Getting
you're breaking
outside.
down. So activity was kind of close to next, but you're breaking down tissues. You're still doing that.
Right.
You're still breaking down tissue. You're not having that adequate time to recover. And then sleeping was dead last. And it has to do because, again, there's not a movement of all those systems going and helping you flush and repair and flush and
It's
repair.
stagnant.
Right?
Yeah, so
It's
shout
just
out to the
stagnant.
Squatober program because part of the recovery is a 30-minute walk. These guys know. So remember, you guys got to move. If you think, just laying on your couch, if you think the best thing for Jimmy Butler to do is get a massage and lay on his couch for him to get ready and take the heat to the next game, you're wrong. He needs to move. We need to work on the lymphatic system. We need to work on mindfulness, mental health, and reduce as stressors. So that being said, we got the Whoop Band, right? The Whoop Band is super popular, right? And we're focused on recovery. Recovery is a big push nowadays when it comes to physiology, exercise, and training. But I do got to say this, and we ran into this a couple of times here, is like you actually need to stress your systems for you to recover. Like you can't be like, I need to recover, and you did a 15-minute walk.
Yeah,
Bro.
I think it comes down to two. It's like
Oh, my God.
sometimes more data is not necessarily good, because then it might stress you out more.
See,
Yeah,
I
it's
think it's
Just
it's
because you're getting
learning.
data doesn't mean you're
It's
doing
learning
a
to
good thing.
understand it, right? And then being able to actually like flip the switch whenever you want to.
Right.
I think that's the biggest thing. So Whoop was a good example. Like we had this one individual that, man, every time that Whoop was like at the lowest end and he was at 50% or 40%, he was flipping out, freaking out. And we're like, move more. Like just move. Like modulate your activity. Don't do a hard workout. Do something very light, just super light.
Yeah,
And if it
super
gets
light.
lower, do even something lighter. But there was actually 2 weeks he started following our advice because it was like trying to nudge at a wall. And all of a sudden, this guy's like, oh, I'm at 60% now. Oh, I've been consistently at 70% now. Oh, I've been consistently at 80%. It's like, duh.
Yeah, so like another thing is like, let's say you come into the facility or wherever you are, the weight room, the gym, whatever it is, and you work out really hard twice a week or 3 times a week. You really don't need that much recovery. Like, let's not get obsessed with recovery.
Yeah, you shouldn't say, all right, well, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm going to work out, and Tuesday, Thursday, I'm going to, lay on my couch and watch Netflix.
Yeah, because I'm kind of sore.
Bro.
I'm sore. I don't want to work out. Oh, my gosh.
Yo, these challenges.
Oh, I couldn't come in today. I'm just really sore. I'm like, oh, man, it's
Walk,
good for you to
bro.
come in. I'm not going to kill you,
No.
You don't have to be scared.
No, we're going to change your routine. We're going to
Right,
do something
change it,
lighter.
give
No,
some
light,
modulate.
movement.
Yeah, so,
Recovery.
one thing that we also, with recovery, right?
Sometimes I kick people off the floor. I'm like, nope, go to the Normatec boots. Like,
Yeah.
This guy walking in, half asleep.
Yeah,
I'm going to work out. No, you're not.
Yeah, you're not
You
going to
know,
work
you-
out.
you're
The
taking
thing
a
is,
sleep.
we got to take under consideration, your readiness to perform, right? So that's one of the things with recovery, right? If your readiness to perform is all go all the time, you don't need that much recovery.
Right.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So let's focus on that. It's all about dosage, right? We can't over recover if we undertrain, and we can't overtrain if we under recover. So we want to have a mix of both. So let's go into current events, and the biggest current event that we got going on is coronavirus, right? So we're not here to talk about whether it's real or it's not real. We're here to talk about the health and the repercussions and how you can boost your health, through nutrition and health, exercise, recovery, you name it. So I was reading an article the other day and how, during the meat of quarantine, everybody didn't move. They had loss of activity.
Quarantini.
There you go, quarantining 15, right? So
Cheers.
right? So
There you go. I like
everybody decided not to move. Not everybody, but a majority of individuals decided not to move. But now, after the second wave or the first wave, I don't know where we're at now, right? But in June, they did another study. People became a lot more active, and people are a lot more concerned for their health. So I think the one positive we can get out of this coronavirus, pandemic is that people are a little more concerned for their health. So part of that, and avoiding getting sick and avoiding getting illnesses and avoiding getting beat up by this virus, right? And then before I ask this question, I am going to say once again, our mentor Dr.
Just
Barry
remember
Nicholson
this
said in a post, I think it was yesterday or today on IG, he says, not everybody who exercises is healthy.
Oh, yes.
Okay. So now let's go into health prevention, right? When it comes to being sick and your immune system, Eric, what are your recommendations?
Well, what I was going to tell you is one of the biggest excuses for people to be inactive, and it's actually been shown, is that, oh, this guy's really healthy, but he's still caught it. So now look, he's in his deathbed, dying. And it's like, you're going to give that excuse to fear-monger other people from being inactive. That's what you're literally doing, which is now comes down to what you just asked, like what's going on with the immune system and everything. Now, your immune system plays with anything that's going on in your body, basically. Essentially, if you're overly stressed, physically, mentally, whatever's going on, it's got to work more. It's got to work harder, right? Which comes down to if you're extremely, extremely, extremely active, which some of these cases were marathon runners, biathlons, things like that. These are like very high endurance athletes that they don't stop. They caught it and they had a bad response to it. That's fine. It's what happens with your immune system. In that pocket, it does drop. But what brings it back up is how healthy you are in general. You know, how well do you eat? How well do you sleep? How well do you recover? How well are you managing stress?
Your hormones, right? Your hormones, your micronutrients,
Right. So all that keeps your immune system up, even throughout these heavy intensities of activity, right? And then you have other people, you know, that, again, they just walk out the door and they catch it. But then when you look at their livelihood, it's not great. They don't care about their lifestyle. They don't care about their health at the time. So they have a higher chance of getting it, right? But in the end, like, anybody could get it. Anybody could get it, and your body's going to respond to it differently based on, like, how strong your system is.
100%. Like, you know, like one of the things that we see, like over here, you know, working with About Hacks team and Dr. D, we see a lot of individuals that look great. They look healthy. They're really strong, extremely active, right? And, you know, when you look at their micronutrient panels and their food sensitivities, they're sensitive to about 50% of things. And then they're clinically deficient in micronutrients and vitamins. Vitamin D is a big one, a big, huge deficiency in it.
And, you know, like you said, they look healthy.
They look
healthy.
healthy.
But they'll come in and be like, man, I'm just not sleeping well. Or, man, I got a crazy anxiety. Or, man, you know, there's all these little symptoms that can come from these, you know, metabolic issues. Yeah. You know, that outside you look great, but on the inside, you know, they're battling things.
Yeah, and think about it. And if on the inside you're battling things, if you are, you know, deficient in certain micronutrients, deficient in, say, vitamin D and zinc and all these different things, right? You can look healthy, but internally, biochemically, you know, you're going to war. And if your army is not ready to take on the challenge, I mean, yeah, you know, it's going to be tough.
Yeah. You know what's also scary? That people associate looking healthy as, like, thin, ripped, and shredded. But then you also have the vice versa. And this is like another rabbit hole. You have people that look 2 times what they should be weighing, but they're healthy inside. It's called fat fit. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that trend. It's another grouping of study that people are trying to look into, that they're like, why are they so big even if they do all this other stuff? Right. It's like, it doesn't make sense. They run, they eat well, but they're still big. So those people are actually quite healthy. Like, in that same general study, they made it to look at skinny people versus, you know, heavier set. And they went from active skinny people to non-active skinny people. And it showed in that study that skinny, unactive individuals have 2 times the risk of having any type of diseases or any lifestyle issues compared to those that are double their body weight, right, and are active. It's crazy. It's crazy.
You also got to think about, like, what do some individuals do to lose weight, right? It might be unhealthy tactics and unhealthy things to lose weight, so that would make them unhealthier, or you're overtraining and things of that nature. But Definitely. I mean, when it comes to the coronavirus, right, you have obesity. Obesity is a big thing. Right? Obesity comes in so many different conditions and illnesses, and everything from cardiovascular issues to diabetes, to metabolic issues.
Right. It's a big pre-existing condition.
To neurological issues, right? And if you think about this, right, about 30% of the U.S. population is obese. Obese, right?
Just looking at you guys.
Hey, this is facts. We're not being mean here, but this is facts, right?
I thought it was 60. I don't know why.
No.
No, they might be overweight.
Overweight, but I'm talking about
obese.
Yeah, obese, right? Think about it. That's 1/3 of the United States. Let's cut the United States in 3 pieces and take one, and that's like only obese
It's
people.
the West
right?
Coast. No, just kidding.
But we're not trying to be insensitive here, but it's let's take our health under consideration, right? And if we can try being healthier, right, and living a healthier lifestyle, and try to get out of that obese range, I think we're gonna have a little better ability to fight not just coronavirus, but even a common cold or something like that.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
nobody's saying don't take the proper health precautions. What we're saying is add another health precaution, by taking care of your health. Because that at the end of the day is going to also help you, battle with these things like coronavirus and things like things that also that can affect you just as bad.
So I think one of the things that we definitely are like keeping in touch with is athletics, right? Like we work with a couple of these pro athletes, especially NFL athletes, and what we saw kind of like how the NFL and the NBA and all these other sports leagues, decided to take care of their athletes, right? They're testing every day.
Right.
Stuff like that. But these athletes, you also got to consider all these other factors, right? What am I eating? What am I training? Am I recovering? Am I doing all these different things? Now, I'm talking about pro sports. Everybody's been asking us, right? About these NFL injuries, right?
Right.
Is it coronavirus that causes these health injuries? And what I mean, not necessarily the virus itself, but what the virus caused, right? With the shutdowns. And they didn't do mini camp, shortened training camp, no preseason games.
Right.
So we're getting this explosion, or what we seem like, of soft tissue injuries. A couple ACL tears on a weekly basis. Hamstring tears, you name it. People are on the PUP list. They're on the IR list. Is it that they didn't train well? What do you think it is? Because coronavirus kind of shortened everything out, right? Well, what's your take on the injuries?
I mean, a lot of people, right, we've been seeing a lot of answers about adaptation, right? They didn't have these things to let their body adapt, but I think what we do best here in Infinity Sports is we dig down the rabbit hole of why. Because at the end of the day, we got to deal with life. You got to deal with situations that happen like this. So it's like, why didn't they adapt? Why didn't they have that neural adaptation that we all look for? Well, it can be going back to keeping our body healthy with micronutrients and making sure all those systems, limbic system as well, food sensitivities, all these things down the list, make sure you're physiologically functioning at a high rate so that your body can adapt to these high stresses.
Yeah, for sure. And, I've had a conversation with a couple individuals, and for me, it's not that they're getting more hurt now or whatever. I think the rate of injuries is almost about the same, right? But the difference is that these injuries would have been spread out through mini camp, through training camp,
right,
preseason, and then a little bit out during season. But we're seeing all that, for week 1 and week 2, we had tons of injuries, right? So, Eric, when it comes to the preparation of athletes, how do you feel that there's something that these athletes could have done to prevent these injuries?
Injury prevention training.
That's your favorite word, right?
Oh my God. I don't know what I just did now.
I was waiting for
it. Honestly, man, you just need to prepare them for things that are unexpected.
Right.
That's the best approach I see it.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I answered Thomas, your boy, right? I answered him. I did a little video on Instagram, and I said, hey, look, we really can't prevent an injury, right? You can't prevent, the actual prevention of an injury cannot happen. But what you can do is create an adaptable athlete that can adapt to any given stressor, any given situation, at any given time, at any given request of the nervous system, right?
Yep.
But when there's a lag in that system,
yep,
right, whether it comes from a vestibular-ocular reflex issue, whether it's coming from the limbic system, whether it's coming from
you name it,
trauma and tissues or whatever, if you don't correct that lag in that system, there is going to be a lag, because you can't tell me an individual like Saquon Barkley, right? Have you seen the guy's legs? That dude's strong. You know,
Probably as big as your head.
I don't discredit his strength program. You know, I don't discredit his strength coach or who he was working with. It's just that there's a lag in the system, right? I mean, and when it comes to, and it's just not on pro sports, right? I mean, you see it in regular individuals,
Everywhere.
right?
Everywhere.
They look back for and grab
Bro.
a cup of coffee and they blow out their backs.
Yep. You'd be surprised. It's just different stimuli. It's unexpected. No one knew like what's. Can you predict the weather? Like, can you answer that one? Can you predict that one?
Ooh,
You know, imagine if you go out, you're training, you've been doing this training because you know you in your mind thought that when you're going to play a game, it's going to be a good, clear, sunny day. And guess what? It pours. What happens when it pours? More traction, more traction. Oh, more vulnerability to something that you haven't been exposed to, right? And my favorite story is like, I don't know if you guys seen the Olympic jump. Man, long story. Forgot what year it was. Jumpers, pole vault jumpers. Was it pole vault jumpers? Yeah. So
Long jumpers.
Hey, can we get sponsored for like ginseng or something so we can
Well, look,
increase his memory?
Yeah. I think I need it, man. But pretty much like you have these guys jumping the pole, and one guy specifically tried to predict his environment. So what did he do? His coach had him train in the rain. Train in the rain. Every time it rained, they went out there and they did their jumps. Every time. So then that day, when the Olympics, when it was time for the main event, guess what happened? Because of where they were, the location and the place and the humidity and the weather that it is, it rained.
Dun, dun, dun.
Guess who was prepared? The guy that was training in the rain.
Yeah, we do this all the
that
time.
guy killed it. He killed it.
Yeah. Now, that's preparing for your environment. So that's kind of creating an adaptation to an external factor, right? But then also, you know, is your limbic system, is your cerebrospinal system, is your lymphatic system, your circulatory system, your immune system.
What do we say? The body is an ecosystem.
It's an ecosystem.
All
So
these
if all these
systems
systems,
work
if all these systems can't work in synchrony, right, we are going to have a dysfunction, and we're not going to be adaptable like we want it. For example, we've had our athletes, right, that every time they look to the left, they lose motor function, right? So that's the vestibular-ocular reflex dysfunction. So looking to the left, they lose motor dysfunction. Why? Because that dysfunction creates a lag in how the brain is receives that information, then how it's going to, how that sensory information is, you know, slowed down a little bit. There's a little lag, and then your brain processes that a little slower. And then by the time you need a break and cut to, you know, shake the safety, you can't. You don't have the amount of motor function, or you're not able to recruit those motor units that you need, you know, and then you get an injury. So these are things that we got to look into. You know, think of your body as an ecosystem, and that's what we got to do. I mean, anyways, guys, you guys, I mean, what, any advice for some of these younger athletes that, you know, they want to be stronger, they want to follow, you know, the footsteps of these pro athletes? What advice you give them?
I think it comes back down to exactly what you said. At the end of the day, you have to look at your body as an ecosystem, and you have to make sure all those things are in check. You know, how's my mental, emotional health? You know, how can I make my physical health a little bit better? How can I recover a little bit better? You know, and that doesn't mean, you know, getting massages and getting on the Normatec boots. It can mean that, but it also can mean like, hey, I need to maybe not go to this party and not get my systems all riled up, and make sure I cool down and downregulate and go meditate or go read a book and do something that's a little bit more calmer to keep my systems at better recovery. Look at your body as a whole, and there's so many different aspects to kind of look at. And the more that you can cover, you know, I guarantee the better athlete you're going to be.
I mean, what about you, Eric? For somebody that's, you know, just, you know, is pursuing, whether it's a musician or whether it's somebody, you know, a physician or an athlete, like how can they maintain their health to, you know, to achieve their goals?
Don't believe the hype.
Yes.
Don't believe the hype, right? They always say, "Oh, you're great. You don't need to do anything else. You're amazing. That's
Stay
it.
humble.
You don't have to do anything else. Just keep doing what you're doing now, right now. Don't change anything." Bro, your body changes all the time.
And what if you have, you know, bad healthy habits, or not bad healthy habits, but what if you don't have healthy habits?
And yeah, you
They
could
don't
be
know.
good. You could be good, but do you want to be great? You know, you've seen some athletes, they don't do, you know, anything, you know, and become out to be great athletes. You know,
But are they remarkable though?
You know, can you get even better? Can you get to that higher level? You know, and which you always can. You know, your body, like you said, adapts. You know, and the more you kind of work on it, the more it's going to improve and adapt towards what you want it to.
100%. So, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, kind of let's go over a couple of things we talked about, right? So, weight loss, cardio versus strength. Eric, my man here, said it's a mixture of both. It all depends on your body. Nutrition, right? What works best for you?
Balance, yeah.
Balance, creating habits, right?
Yeah.
Recovery. Eric, what's your number one tip on recovery after all this?
Do anything that makes you feel better.
Feel
Make yourself
better.
feel good.
Feel
baby.
better.
Feel better, baby.
Make yourself feel good.
As long as it's not detrimental to your health.
Facts.
What he said.
There you go. Disclaimer.
What he said.
We got it. And then as far as, you know, when it comes to this pandemic and virus, and, you know, not just coronavirus, but getting sick, you know, create better, healthier habits, be healthy, and your body will be prepared. And remember this, like Dr. Perry Nicholson said, just because you exercise does not mean you're healthy. There's a lot more that happens internally, you know, metabolically, chemically, you know, all that stuff. So, and then I think we busted a myth here, right? Fruits are okay to eat.
Yes.
Only on Tuesdays.
Only on Tuesdays? Well, guys, thank you for tuning in to the Project Motus podcast. We'll see you soon, baby.